So, you want to become a certified Microsoft Fabric data engineer? Well, you have definitely come to the right place. Over the next few minutes, we're going to break down everything you need to know to absolutely crush that DP 700 exam and really level up your career. You know, when it comes to any certification exam, success really boils down to just one thing: solid preparation. And for this explainer, we're going to be diving deep into our source material today, the Get It Done Certified Practice Guide from cloudcertificationstore.com. We're going to pull out all the key insights you need.
All right, so if you're ready to snag one of the hottest cloud certs out there and slap it on your resume, let's do this. Okay, first things first, let's really set the stage here. What is this role we're even aiming for? I mean, what does a fabric data engineer actually do all day?
So think of yourself as the architect of a company's entire data universe. Seriously, you're not just a plumber moving data around. Nope. You're building the whole system, the whole shebang, that takes all this raw, messy information and turns it into gold. You know, those critical insights the business needs to survive. And yeah, like I said, it is not just plumbing. You're getting your hands dirty, you're transforming data, you're locking it down tight for security, and you're always tweaking and tuning the engine to squeeze out every last drop of performance. It is a super critical, hands-on job.
And to pull all this off, you need the right toolkit, right? The exam is going to make sure you're fluent in 3 absolute powerhouses: good old SQL for querying, PySpark for those massive heavy-lifting data transformations, and Kusto Query Language, or KQL, for when you need those crazy-fast, real-time analytics.
Okay, so we get it. The role is a big deal. But what about the gatekeeper? What about the exam that actually gets you there? Let's break down the DP 700 itself. All right, first thing you got to know, this is an intermediate level exam. It's focused like a laser on Microsoft Fabric for the data engineer role. So, what does that mean? It means it's not for total newbies. You're expected to walk in the door with some real, foundational data knowledge already under your belt. And yeah, there's the cost. It's about $165, depending on where you are. And look, at that price, you really want to pass this thing on the first shot. No messing around.
Plus, you've only got 100 minutes to show them what you've got. And trust me, that clock ticks down fast when you're under pressure. This is why practice and just getting your timing down is, well, it's everything.
The good news is the exam structure is pretty straightforward. It's broken down into 3 main areas: building and managing the solution, getting the data in and transforming it, and then keeping an eye on it and making it better. You know, monitoring and optimization. And hey, that sounds a lot like the actual job, right? Because it is. So your study plan has got to cover all 3 of these. So the challenge is pretty clear. But what's the secret sauce? How do you actually prepare for all this? Well, that is where our source for today, this practice guide, comes into play. This right here is the Get It Done Certified Practice Exam Guide. Its whole reason for being is to feel just like the real exam. It's designed to take you from, oh yeah, I kind of know that concept, to actually being able to apply it correctly when the clock is ticking. Now this is super important. Take a look at the original content statement here. It makes it crystal clear that these are not leaked exam questions or brain dumps or anything like that. Nope. These are all original questions, but they're carefully modeled after the official exam guides, and that's absolutely key for preparing the right way. You know, talk is cheap. The best way to see how valuable a guide like this is to actually do some questions. So let's do it. Let's dive into a few examples straight from the guide. Okay, question 1. This is a classic security scenario. You need to lock things down with row-level security, or RLS, so sales reps only see their own data. In a Fabric warehouse, what object do you need? A stored procedure, a constraint, schema, or a function? What do you think? And the answer is D, function. And see, this is where a good practice guide shines. The explanation tells you why. It clarifies that RLS in Fabric is done specifically with inline table-valued functions. So you don't just memorize an answer. You actually understand the underlying tech. All right, you ready for another one? Let's move on to orchestration. Picture this. You've got a data flow, a notebook, and a pipeline, and they all have to run in a specific sequence every 15 minutes. What Fabric item is your go-to for a job like that? This is a great example of looking for keywords. When you see words like orchestrate, sequence, or schedule, your brain should immediately scream data pipeline.
And yeah, the answer is D. The guide confirms it. Pipelines are literally built from the ground up to handle dependencies and scheduling for all sorts of different Fabric items.
Okay, let's do one last one. This one's about streaming data, which can get a little tricky. The keywords to watch for here are non-overlapping and 1-minute intervals. You've got to pick the perfect windowing function to calculate that average speed.
And for this one, the answer is C, tumbling. Now, the explanation here is so important because tumbling windows are the only ones on that list that are fixed size and do not overlap. Sliding and hopping windows, they overlap. That's what they do. So if you chose one of them, your calculation would be totally wrong. And that is exactly the kind of subtle detail the real exam loves to test.
See? Going through questions like that, with those detailed explanations, it just proves that practice isn't just a nice-to-have. It is the absolute, final, most essential step before you walk into that testing center.
So really, your path to getting certified is a simple little 3-step plan. Step 1, study the concepts. Hit the books, go through the official Microsoft Learn docs. Step 2, test yourself. Find out what you don't know. Find those weak spots and fix them. That's where a great practice guide is worth its weight in gold. And then step 3, walk into that exam confident and pass it.
Look, getting this certification is a massive validator for your skills. It's a huge step forward for any data engineering career. So really, there's only one question left to ask. Are you ready to get it done certified? Thanks for joining me.